About the site? Did you get in?
You were right. It's not an ordinary site, and they're definitely not rebuilding. It's full of digs. A pre-turmoil site.
So that's what it's about. Relics. They want even more power. I'd even say that they may have manipulated everybody, including me, to get the war to move to the site. Bastards. One thing I don't get, though. Why Wisdom, if he got wind of this, would back them? Not his style. Looks paid for with lives? No, doesn't make sense.
Listen, we're not the only ones interested in the site. There was a group of resistance fighters there. They wanted to sabotage the drilling.
That explains what I heard about. The Technomancers are preparing an assault on the Resistance. They know where they meet. And so do I, thanks to my sources. I don't want them to kill them all. Those Utopians can be useful by weakening and scattering the Technomancers. Not to mention what they can tell us. Go warn them. And if the Technomancers are already there, make sure the Resistance can escape.
Divide and conquer, huh? Alright, I'll tell them.
Sly as a fox, that guy. Nice.
I don't know if I like the idea of a compliment from a scumbag like you.
Oh, you know I'm first and foremost a practical kind of guy. And you know all about that sort of stuff.
What do you want to know?
You think that the Technomancers were so eager to get their hands on these relics that they tricked the Source into starting the war against Abundance?
No, not to that point. Remember that it was Abundance that started the war by killing our previous Dowser. They hoped it would weaken us enough that we would surrender. Because of Wisdom and the Alliance, they failed, as you know. On the other hand, the battles around Green Hope were perhaps a direct result of their schemes. I never really understood why the fighting came this way. But in the heat of the action, I basically thought about winning the battle and taking as few losses as possible. And now I'm wondering, like you.
Sir? Sir? There's still moles around, right?
Not that I know of, no.
It's just that I wanted to start working my field again, but as soon as I turned my back, everything's been turned upside down.
And you think that other moles came?
Well, that's what I thought. I didn't want to stick around to make sure.
I understand. I'll go see what's happening.
Thank you. It's just, I don't really dare to go there now.
What are you doing here?
I'm a farm worker.
Well, hey, and I'm the Dowser. Yeah, sure. You wouldn't happen to be destroying the cops, would you?
No, I mean, I have my reasons. Now leave me alone.
Seeing as you say you got your reasons, tell me.
Maybe you didn't see what happened here, but I fought here. I saw my friends fall to the ground, and they weren't laughing. I saw the ground flowing with blood, so the men from Shadow Lair could get rich. I saw men die just because the guild wanted to get bigger. I can't let them do that. I want them to pay for it. I won't let them use the bodies of my friends to feed the fat people in the city.
Well, that guy didn't just see horrible things around here. He must have taken a bad one to the head, too. It'd almost be a mercy to kill him.
Tell me something. You don't work for Abundance, do you? Because what you're doing is a lot like enemy sabotage.
Bullshit! I fought those guys. You can accuse me of a lot of things, but not that. It's just that I find what they're doing here pretty disgusting.
When you think about it, who are you helping with all this? Your buddies? They're dead. The poor bastards like you who fought for the guild? Not really, since they're the ones who hired me. The only ones you're really helping are the enemy, Abundance. You're weakening Aurora here and paving the way for the others to return.
I see. You're probably right. I should go.
Don't move. You're all under arrest.
Shit! Someone talked! Get out of here!
But that's it? You seem pretty satisfied. It's over. No more moles? Come on, tell me what happened.
It wasn't the moles. There was a guy sabotaging your work. He didn't like the idea of plants growing over a mass grave. I think the fighting traumatized him. He was in a state of shock. I told him he shouldn't bother you like that. He won't do it again.
That's kinda unusual. And you know who it is?
He didn't tell me his name, and I forgot to ask.
That's not really what I expected. Talk about a story. Anyway, thanks. Here, take this.
Isn't the old mass grave on this site?
Well, here and everywhere in Green Hope, you know? So many people were killed for this damn hydroponic farm. But the bodies aren't really here anymore. When they took over this place, they gave them full honors. For ours, anyway. Why? You looking to say a prayer?
No, I just wanted to know. You been here a long time?
Well, not really. I got here when our troops left, after the war. We were sent out here to rebuild, to make the farm productive.
And how's it going since you came?
Not easy. When we got here, most of the hydroponic systems were broken, crisscrossed with trenches. There were bits of metal everywhere. A real battlefield. But we managed to get the underground channels back up and running and split the land into lots again. We could be really rich around here, you know? That's what gave us the strength to do all the work. But it takes time, of course. We just hope to get the first harvest in soon.
Still feeling rebellious?
How can't you be? If you knew what happened here during the fighting, you wouldn't agree to feed the guild with all of that. Regardless, I thought about all that, and I realized you could have turned me in. I could have gotten in some real trouble. So here, take this.
Thanks. What's so important about the crops at Green Hope?
It's not so much what we grow that makes Green Hope so important. It's the same stuff as everywhere else. Turnips, pulp fruit, grain. It's the crop system. Green Hope's networks of hydroponic canals are very old and very well made. Some say it dates from the time of the colonists. Whatever. It yields 3 times more than the other farms. Of course, could be the fertilizer. Who knows?
I was a prisoner when the battle took place. Can you tell me about it?
Not a very good memory. It was horrible. There were trenches pretty much everywhere. Guys would come out and end up chopped into ground beef. Be honest, there were times when you had no idea if they were ours or theirs. It was carnage. A real slaughter.
Most of the resistance fighters got away. Technomancers were already there when I got there, but I created a diversion. I searched some of them, found a pass on their leader. I'm guessing it gives access to their HQ.
Excellent. I can't say I share their point of view, but the Resistance fighters are more useful to us alive. I found out that Wisdom was going to visit Green Hope. Based on the information you gave me, I'm almost certain he's coming to see the work of the digs. Even though I'm still puzzled at his interest.
Could be he's religious. The Technomancers may have used that aspect to get him to support them.
No, it's not like him. I remember he used to joke about people that were too superstitious. A pre-turmoil site would obviously give the guild more impact, but that's too indirect to interest him.
He's your friend, after all. Why not ask him?
I did, but he was very evasive and let me know it was none of my business. I want to know what it all means. You can use his visit to get into the Technomancer's building and try to find out more.
Even if I was lucky to find a pass on the Technomancers I beat, it won't be easy to enter without being seen. But, I'll do my best.
Shit, I must be dreaming. You not gonna say anything, Roy? You don't want me to clean your outhouse while you're at it. You're sending us straight to the slaughterhouse.
You're just a hired hand, Tenacity. If you don't like the mission, you're free to let Roy do it without you.
Free? You don't even know what that word means. Anyway, if Roy needs me, I'm going with him.
I'm not gonna force a mission you think is too risky on you. If you'd rather stay here.
I appreciate you taking my opinion into account, but if you need me, I'll go. Otherwise, just tell me to stay here when you leave.
What do you want to know?
Have you been watching over the Resistance fighters for long now?
Don't mistake my intentions for a second. I consider these people to be dangerous. But again, they can be useful to us. That was the idea behind this mission. Let that group of idiots keep putting sticks in the spokes of the Technomancers. But I'll be keeping an eye on them. If they go too far, they'll be arrested, and I'll throw them in prison to rot.
How's the work going?
There have been a few incidents that slowed us down. Some terrorists tried to sabotage the excavation, but everything's going smoothly now.
We don't have much time left, you know. And as far as your other research is concerned?
The Shadow Line site's perfect. We're carrying out a number of experiments, and we're sure we'll get a result that'll solve all of our problems.
I hope so. Don't expect me to keep backing you without one.
Marco, the fuck are you doing here?
And you, Roy? What the fuck are you doing here? That's it, huh? I was right. You went back to your masters. But you won't stop me from finishing my fight.
You didn't get enough when your HQ was attacked? You're insane, Marco. This place is teeming with Technomancers. What do you think you can do?
Kill that bastard Dowser. He betrayed us all. Even if I have to die to kill him, I'll have helped Aurora.
I can't let you do that. Sorry, Marco.
Any news? Did you infiltrate the Technomancers?
I found documents and overheard a conversation with your, friend. Seems that they're building a shadow line and the site is being used for experiments. Your friend sure was intrigued by it. Sounded like it was a question of life or death.
Experiments? What does that mean? You didn't find out anything else?
There was also a small group of Resistance fighters there. I had to kill their leader. He didn't give me a choice. He wanted to kill the Dowser.
Kill Wisdom? You have to admit they have balls. Or had, anyway. But you did well. As long as we don't know exactly what's behind all of this, Wisdom must be kept alive. There has to be a way to make him see reason again. And they stop you from finding out more?
The only thing I found out was where the shadow line they were talking about is. It's not far from here.
All right. Go there and find out what the Technomancers are up to, and why Wisdom is so interested. What do you want to know?
This entire investigation started with the idea that the Dowser was being manipulated, but it kinda looks like he's actually behind everything.
The fact that he's behind part of the Technomancer's actions doesn't mean he isn't being manipulated. And even if it weren't the case, which would surprise me because I know him rather well, it isn't a reason to turn a blind eye. My duty to Aurora comes first, before my duty to my friend. My guild is my life, Roy. If I had to kill Wisdom and all of the Technomancers to save it, I wouldn't hesitate.
Please, get us out of here. They're doing terrible things. They use us for tests, expose us to the sun. Some of us have even been operated on. If we stay here, we'll die. Or worse. Help us. We haven't done anything to deserve any of this. I was just in the militia. Okay, I demonstrated against the Technomancers, but that's all.
Calm down. I'll get you out, all of you, but I can't break the door down. Do you know who has the key?
A Technomancer, of course. Their leader here, I think. He's really powerful and heartless.
Shit, I've seen bad stuff in my life, but those experiments, that beats it all.
How'd you end up here?
It was just after the demonstration. I thought things were okay. I didn't have any trouble when the leaders of militia were arrested. Then one morning, Source Security showed up at my place. They arrested my wife and me and took us here. She died after they did horrible things to her.
What'd they do to you, exactly?
I was lucky, in a way. They only put me out in the sun a few times so far. I thought I was gonna die, and I'm covered with blisters, but that's nothing compared to what they did to some of the others. They feed us strange things, disgusting water, pieces of flesh that looks human. Some people had mutant parts transplanted onto them. Most of those people died. They also made the women get pregnant by mutants. We never saw them again. Please, get us out of this hell.
Any idea what's making them do this?
How could I possibly know what those madmen are thinking? They aren't human anymore.
You may have heard something.
Nothing. Just the screams of my friends. And that's more than I wanted to hear, believe me.
I can believe the poor bastard. I can't exactly see the Technomancers coming in here and talking about what they're up to.
I'll be back as soon as I can.
What are you doing here? You have any idea how important the research you're interfering with is?
Research based on the horrible experiments carried out on Aurora's citizens.
I recognize you now. You were at the source when I was a child. Still so sure you're on the right side, huh? That you're always right? Still so full of yourself over your abilities, I guess. But I'll teach you. I'll show you your place.
Just us now.
Do you have the key? Please hurry, some of us need help.
Here, I finally have the key. Take it and free your comrades.
Thanks. Thank you so much. You saved our lives.
Hello, Roy. Can I do anything for you?
I wanted to ask you. So you knew your brother was actually a Technomancer?
I found out a while back. You have to understand, my parents died after he disappeared. I wanted to find him at all costs. The General gave me a way to look into it without knowing it. I went through heaven and earth, and I found him at the source. I've been serving him all these years because I hope to see my brother again one day. Probably too late, because he went crazy and you had to kill him. He was all I had left, apart from the General.
I was wondering...
I think I can tell you now. I was born here, in Shadowlair. It didn't take long for the Source to find me. I think you had already left. Or I was too young, and you were too old for us to be together.
How did you end up in Abundance in that case?
My master at the time had to go fight, of course, and he wanted to take me with him. The Source wanted to refuse, but he had tremendous influence. I found myself on a battlefield, and I was horribly afraid. I think I panicked, and we were separated.
Go on, I'm listening.
I was so afraid I fell into a trench. Some men from Abundance came towards me. They were laughing. I think they liked the look of me. And then their officer showed up. It was Sean. He seemed really strict. In fact, he was furious with his men. He helped me get up and kept me near him. I know that he had to fight to keep me. That's why he was sent from the front and ended up in Camp 19.
Why not talk to me about it?
I was afraid you'd abandon me to the Source. Of course, there are good masters there, but there are also... Anyway, I often served them when I was very young.
Listen, I'm sorry, Mary. I know some girls are abused, but... Anyway, it's over now. You're free of them. You must have a virtue name. Mary's not your real name, is it?
Right. I was called Mercy, but the name no longer means anything to me. Even if Sean used me, he helped me live again. He stopped me from going insane. He's the one who called me Mary. Just like the rags I'm wearing, I want to keep the name.
I understand. I'm not gonna lecture you about changing your name.
Well, what is the Shadowline site hiding?
If you'd have seen it with your own eyes, your stomach would have turned. The Technomancers are using the site to carry out experiments on political prisoners. They're putting them through all kinds of torture. Anything that might have the slightest chance of provoking a mutation. Overexposure to the sun, mutant organ transplants, that sort of thing. I put an end to it by freeing the prisoners, and I fought the Technomancer who was in charge of it all. You know everything I do.
Doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why Wisdom is involved in it. But he's gone too far this time. I'm going to seal off the Shadowline to keep the proof. It's time to work on the Source and stop all this madness. Wisdom and his Technomancers will have to answer for it. If you're ready, we can go right away. But I suggest you settle any business you have first. We won't be coming back here.
All right, I'm with you. I'd like Tenacity to come with us.
I'll always wonder how you can work with that bastard. But, all right. Let's go.
We're finally leaving Greenhope, after shedding light on what the Technomancers were preparing. The excavation site where we put a stop to a series of inhuman experiments. I haven't figured out what they were about, but you can't keep secrets under the sands of Mars for long. But one thing's for sure. Wisdom, our dowser, knows everything, and even seems to be encouraging it. We don't have a choice. We have to stop his madness. Here, I was able to give the mutants a hand, but that's a minor point when I think of the fight that lies ahead. That old rascal Tenacity is with me. It'll be good to have his practicality and effectiveness in this march on the Source. Because I'm suspicious of Honor now that he's only one step from power. As a precaution, I'll be leaving this diary with Charity. You have to watch your back in the world of politics.
There! Kill him! Well, this is the heart of the Source. But you've already been here, haven't you?
When I was a kid, I was confined to the Technomancer's buildings. I wasn't allowed on the Dowser's floors.
I see. Well, I have to warn you that it's pretty sure we're going to encounter lots of resistance in this building. The Dowser's guards aren't choir boys. But we have to confront Wisdom with his madness. That's the only way to describe what he's done now. And we have to save Aurora.
I'm not scared of the Source guards.
You know why I'm here. But as for you...
You promised me you'd save Innocence and protect him. You've kept your word. Now I'll do the same. I'm with you to the end.
Finally, we'll be able to make the man face up to his nonsense. All this time, I hope he squeals.
Sorry, Tenacity. I think I should go alone with Honor.
You sure? You trust that guy? Okay, his name makes you think he's pretty straight, but we both know that doesn't mean much. What makes you think he's not going to stab you in the back, leaving him with the only finger in the pie?
I'll be on my guard, don't worry. And if working with you has taught me anything, it's to keep an eye on those who call you friend.
technomancer. You said you hated them. Not that it really matters. I suppose I was sure you'd end up finding out and coming here full of righteous anger.
You betrayed Aurora, its people, and its ideals. You betrayed us all, and you even betrayed yourself. The people were everything for you, but you let the Technomancers do the unspeakable. Why? To be cured? You're not just afflicted, Wisdom. You gave in to madness solely to save your life and your power.
Because you and your honor are beyond its call? The truth, my friend, is that you are like all the others. The only thing you see is the mutation, and it disgusts you. And yet, am I not a hero? Have you forgotten our battles and our victories? Did you know that when I returned from Green Hope, I discovered I had patches of diseased flesh? What was I to do? At the time, I thought only of the Guild. Without my ability to unite the Technomancers and the militia, Abundance would have won. And that made me afraid. Can you truly blame me for this?
You risked letting Aurora fall to pieces to save yourself. You ruined everything for that. What would happen if news of your condition got out? If everyone found out you're a mutant? Yes, you disgust me. But not for the reasons you think. You're going to die, Wisdom. But no one will know of your secret. For Aurora. Goodbye. Roy. I'm sorry. I didn't think he would dare admit to why he did what he did. I don't have a choice now, if I want to keep this a secret.
Before you go and do something stupid, I suggest you think twice. I've been keeping a diary, a habit I picked up from a young man who sees more clearly than people think. I gave the diary to people who won't hesitate for a second to make it public if anything happens to me or my friends. But it'd be a shame if some of your secrets came to light. That won't happen if you let us go. I guess the whole idea behind all of this was always to gain power. You just needed a good excuse. But believe me, I'm not remotely interested in your political dealings. You killed your friend. Now let me go meet up with mine. That's all I'm asking for.
Go, Roy. Go quickly. Go far and never come back. I'll respect our agreement. Goodbye.
And there you have it. In the name of my guild, I've committed sabotage, spied, even killed. For the sake of a man obsessed with his vision of glory, of honor, and power. We managed to stop the Technomancers. They're now gathered in the Source, watched closely, made into a living weapon. I imagine our beloved General would have liked to shove me in there too, but through our agreement I have remained free, and I intend to stay that way. He would have liked to lock Mary up in there too, but she asked me to help, and I arranged for her to stay free. She may be a bit crazy, but she definitely didn't deserve to end up as a suicide bomber. Tenacity saw the threats as well. The General seemed to be suspicious of everyone who was too close to me. He's preparing to leave Shadowlair and go back to his life of wandering. I have to say that the General has started a cleansing campaign, and all the criminals and people a bit suspect are systematically arrested. He'll rebuild Aurora according to his vision. Oddly enough, I have the impression that our guild is going to start to resemble Abundance. More aggressive, a police state. That should make Devotion happy. Stubborn and apparently faithful as she is. She continues to serve the General through clenched teeth. Poor girl. He'll definitely need her. One thing's for sure, Abundance is nowhere near ready to give up, and the Resistance, even though they're being hunted, is still growling in the city slums. Aurora should be able to face anything with a man like that leading it. As for me, because I have to leave the capital, I've decided to join Innocence. He'll probably be angry with me at first for betraying his ideals, but I'll give him his diary, and maybe if he reads it, he'll understand why I did what I did. And so ends my part to the War Log of Innocent Smith. I'll leave it up to him to decide if he's written the final chapter.